Hey, hello, and welcome to More Inspiration, a podcast where we interview young, successful individuals, whether it be on their journey to fitness, entrepreneurship, dealing with mental health, and other areas. Today we have Henna in today. We've invited her onto the podcast because we've been inspired with her journey to fitness. We wanted to know more about her story. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I'm just gonna get straight into it. I asked all my guests on what you think. What how would you define success?
I think I would define success as getting to a certain point in your life and with your goals where you feel like you've achieved something, and it can be a personal achievement. It doesn't have to be with regard to how other people see it as successful. And I think when you've realised you've pushed yourself, you've met the goal that you've pushed yourself to, and then you even exceed that or have a goal to go beyond that, to me, that's success.
And do you think that's? I mean, it is totally subjective, but what do you think everyone has to become successful?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's one common denominator that defines people to be successful rather than? Because I will, because I've spoken to a lot of people and in my previous podcast as well. I said, I don't know whether you want to agree with this, but I said drive is the common denominator. It's the one thing everyone has in common to be either successful or not successful. Is that drive?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you agree?
I think drive and motivation are definitely a massive part of success, but I also think that it won't be there every day just because we're humans and sometimes life gets in the way, things get in the way. So I think actually consistency and dedication are the biggest thing to me for success, because personally I've had days where the motivation just isn't there, but because I've built up such a routine and such a type of consistency, that's what pushes me to carry on.
Okay, it's an interesting way to see things. You've said consistency, and that's something that we had in a previous podcast as well. So as we go along, we tend to start to figure out what makes people successful. So we've obviously got consistencies now, as we mentioned a couple of times, as well as drive as well. Everyone's, like I say, it's subjective as what to success is, and that depends on each and everyone's set goals. Whether it could be money, in feeling happy inside, it could be many things. But this is what this podcast is, to see what drives people, what makes people be successful. And obviously we've got Henna on today, so we've been, like I said, like I've mentioned, that we've been inspired by your obviously journey to fitness, and it's great to have a few more guests come on because we don't want it to be all about money and males coming in. So it's good to have a female representative in the field of success, even though it's not really a field, it's an area of success. So talk to me about why your journey to fitness.
Okay, so I found that I was always a sporty person from quite a young age. So primary school age, I used to be involved in a lot of sports like netball, athletics, even did tennis for a bit. And then as I grew up throughout high school, I carried on playing to the point where we'd go to like borough sports or things like that, and we'd get medals, and it would be really fun because I enjoyed it. My dad actually tried to push me into hockey for a bit, but that just didn't really stick. So I carried on with what I wanted to do. But then when I got to around 16 years old, I started to lose confidence in my ability to do sports because I felt like my peers around me, they all looked a different way to me. So I felt like they were quite, for example, slim, or they looked athletic, but I was a bit overweight at the time. So I kind of fell out of love with fitness then. And then throughout uni, I feel like I felt the same way then. I think that's when I personally gained like the most amount of weight. And then I realised a little while after, around towards the end of 2018, that I actually missed the person I used to be. I wanted to be able to join a sports club, or I wanted to be able to go to the gym and fall back in love with fitness. So at the beginning of 2019, that's when I joined the gym. And from there, I started to run a lot on the treadmill at first. And believe me when I say I couldn't even run 60 seconds without getting breathless. So it's definitely been quite the journey, building up strength as well. I thought lifting weights as a woman would give you like bulky muscles and it wouldn't be nice. But having done that now for such a long time, I actually know that's really not the case. So it's kind of how I've fallen back into love with fitness now. And now it's kind of like you always want to challenge yourself more and more to see how strong you can be or how fit you can become.
So, you, so you've just talked about obviously why you've come onto that journey. Were there any struggles and I think obviously within areas of fitness, I think you do have the mental struggles as well. Are you getting the results quick enough? Are the results of what you want? You know, why am I not seeing this? Why am I not seeing that? Am I doing things right? So, what were your struggles throughout, your journey?
I think my struggles definitely what you just mentioned, the first one. I'm not seeing results quick enough. I'm not seeing results how I want to see them. So I'd see other people, and I feel like this is such a common thing. You look on Instagram and you see other people who are in the fitness industry, and they've got abs, they've got like defined muscles, and when you're not getting there, but you're putting in the work, you think, what am I doing wrong? And at those points, I almost lost my motivation and my will to carry on with fitness in general. But then I thought to myself, okay, if I push a little further, if maybe I change up training routines. But even then, sometimes, for me personally, my struggles were I wasn't seeing results when I wanted to. I wasn't seeing them how I wanted to or how I thought that they should have looked. And then also, I felt like I wasn't fit enough to still meet certain challenges. So there was a point where I wanted to do, Tough Mudder.
Yep.
But I just thought I'm not fit enough to try something like this, and then mentally I would just lose all confidence in myself, and I'd have little setbacks where I'd think, "What's the point? I'm never going to get to that stage." So yeah, I gave up a few times mentally, but with how I said consistency before, I still continued even though mentally the will wasn't always there.
Okay. Um. So obviously you're saying that obviously the will wasn't there, and you're have you done Tough Mudder?
No, I haven't yet actually.
Is that still a goal of yours?
It is a goal.
It's a good goal. I mean, I look at it and I get scared looking at that, and I never
Don't
want to do
blame you.
anything like that. So talk to me a bit about obviously a lot of it's to do with nutrition. It's got to do with obviously doing the right exercises for your body. Where do you learn that from? Obviously, where did you get your information from?
So I actually started to do a lot of research. At first, I would just follow PTs on Instagram, things like that, and they'd upload like IGTV videos. And from there, they might do a video on weight loss or a video on muscle gain and things like that. And then I slowly picked up tips from there. But then I researched beyond that. I started to look things up, what sort of things I should be eating, what's good for you, what's not. Because I found a common misconception was people thought that as long as you were eating, for example, in a calorie deficit, which is how you lose weight, then that's fine. That will make you lose weight. And that is true. But also, you can develop so many health problems from eating the wrong type of food. So I was really interested to find out which foods were nutrient dense and things like that. And now I'm actually doing a PT course. So that's where I'm getting even more information that I didn't have before.
Okay, so talk to me about your PT course then. I mean, what does it entail? Why did you obviously you want to know more information, but how far are you into your PT course? What results do you expect after the PT course?
So I'm doing a PT course gold diploma. So it's a level 2 fitness instructor and then a level 3 personal trainer. And basically, the first level 2 is meant to take around 6 to 10 weeks, and it kind of walks you through the anatomy of the human body, the different joints, how different exercises will impact people, whether you're a child. Because, contrary to popular belief, it's actually okay to start weight training when you're in your teens. It's actually really good to build bone density. So that's something I've learned on the course. But yeah, so I'm learning about that. It also teaches you about nutrients and how to also structure a PT lesson around an individual client to suit their needs. And then towards the end of level 2, I'll have to do some practicals, but because of gyms being closed with COVID, a lot of that's on hold at the moment. And then the next stage is level 3, so you become a fully qualified personal trainer, which means I can then start to build a bit of a rapport with people and my own client base, which is something that I really want to do. So I think the next steps for me after that would be start to post in local community pages, maybe get some new clients in, start filming their progress, make tailor-made programs, and then slowly build that up. Because I do have a full-time job outside of fitness, so it's trying to manage the two.
Yeah, so this was going to talk about. I talk about with people that have all started their own thing. So for you, it's going to be your PT. How do you think you'll be able to cope with obviously working full time? Do you see that the PT stuff will overtake your full time work, or do you just see it as going side by side?
So I absolutely love my full-time job. It's in politics, so I've always had an interest in politics. But I've realised, you know, the way some people always have a passion from a young age and they know that this is what I want to do. I've never been that person. I didn't realise what it was until I started fitness, and now I've realised this is actually my passion. I love this. So I'm hoping one day that will be the main thing I do, and that I'll get into business within fitness, and then that will be my main drive. But for now, while I'm building it up, while I'm learning, it's something to go side by side with my full time job.
So do you really understand the business side of when it comes to PT as well? I mean, there's obviously teaching and stuff. Like you said, you're going to post on local pages, but have you done any research into actually starting something that's going to be quite durable for the next few years, or is that just something that you all try to tackle when the time comes?
A bit of both. So some of it will be that I tackle it when the time comes, but I've also spoken to people who have done it themselves or who are doing it at the moment, and they've spoken to me about what it's like, just for example, to create your brand, to then market it, to then get it out there, what sort of the overheads are looking like, things like that, and then also how you actually convince clients to come to you, because I feel like fitness is such a saturated market, so there are so many people offering the same thing. You need to have a USP that will make you stand out. And I feel like being a woman and being Asian, that's actually a benefit to me because it's quite a niche market. And I see on these pages that I want to post on, sometimes other women are looking for only a female personal trainer or a Muslim personal trainer. And I feel like this is where I can come in and help these people, and from there, then build my brand.
Okay, I would say I would ask, you know, the everyday person, do they actually need to go to the gym to get results, or is it something that you can just do at home?
I think I've learned over COVID it's definitely something you can do at home because I've had to do it without the gym. And I think I've actually built more muscle during COVID than before, which is crazy. So I would say you can do it from home, but for me personally, I think you do still need, if you don't know and you don't educate yourself in it, it is still good to have that guidance on how to use weights, how to build muscles on different parts of your body and things like that. So I think you can do it from home. Yeah.
So, what would be your advice to somebody then who's just starting out with fitness? I mean, in terms of just regular weight loss, for example.
Okay, so regular weight loss, if I'm completely honest, you don't even need to exercise to lose weight. All you have to do is be in a calorie deficit, which is that you're basically burning more than you're taking in. And you can figure that out using an equation and then stick to that. It doesn't even, your macronutrients, so your protein, carbs, fats, it doesn't even need to be something you look that deep into as long as you're just meeting that calorie um, deficit. But I would say that if you are exercising, it helps a lot with adherence because it means that you're burning more, which means you can eat more. And everyone loves to eat, so I feel like that's always a bonus. And also, a lot of people, I hear them saying, I don't just want to lose weight, like I want to tone up, or I want to see this definition here. And that's something you can do through body recomposition. And that is when you do need to work out in order to see those benefits. But for someone who's just starting out, I'd say get your steps up, 10,000 steps a day, even 8,000 steps a day, to be honest. Be in a calorie deficit, create good habits, sleep a lot. And just that alone, within a couple of weeks, you would have actually lost quite a bit of weight.
Okay, that was good information for anyone that wants to start losing weight. Um, so let's talk back at obviously at school. Did you suffer from any bullying while you were at school?
Yeah, I did really badly. From a young age, actually.
So obviously we want to talk about obviously. I know I tend to do the segment of mental health towards the end, but it's different for every interview. So we'll talk about our segment of mental health. I think it comes more. The reason I do it with the business end of it right at the end because it's not really linkable. I think, but fitness comes into mental health as well, but just used generally as well because obviously I've known Henna since sixth form. It's be sixth form, yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a constant trend right now where I keep inviting people from Beale High School to sixth form. That's because there's a lot of people, and I do want to say something. A lot of people do come out of Beale quite successful. I mean, not right at the moment, but when you see them now, you're like, yeah, Beale did really produce quite a lot of successful people. I'm not saying Beale did it, but generally the mindset of everyone that was there. Some not so many, but we won't talk about them. But so talk if you're happy to talk about your
Yeah,
bullying
yeah, of
experience.
course.
Just talk to me about your bullying experience. Yeah.
Okay, so it started in primary school because I was quite a chubby kid. And so kids would just call me names like fatty or chase, like run away from me in the playground. And quite honestly, because I wasn't that fit, I couldn't keep up with them. So they'd run off and they'd call me names whilst doing that. And if I was eating something, maybe like a chocolate at lunchtime, they'd be like, "Why are you eating that? You're fat." And they would keep kind of picking on me daily. Even if I told a teacher, none of that helped. But primary school for me wasn't too bad. I think somehow I just had a lot of resilience then. It was when I got to high school that's when my resilience completely shattered. I was bullied so badly from year 8 all the way through to about the end of year 10, beginning of year 11. Where people would, I remember once I was in a classroom, it was a French lesson, and I was new to the school, and someone went to me, "Have you seen the new girl, Henna?" And the other boy went, "Yeah, I have." And he went, "She's so fat, isn't she?" And the whole class looked over at me, and it was horrible. And so that's where also, I said that I stopped wanting to do fitness. That's where that came from as well, because I thought I would just look embarrassing.
And okay, but then you've said that it kind of then eventually kind of like led you to actually do the fitness as well.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, obviously you've started a fitness journey. Where did you at what point did you think, all right, I'm doing well, I'm seeing my results now? How did that feel?
That felt absolutely amazing. I'd say that was probably mid January 2019, a couple of weeks after I'd started. I already started seeing some of the effects of what I was doing. Just that weight was dropping off, but also I wasn't as lethargic as I was before, which I didn't realize was actually a big thing that comes from exercising a lot. So that's when I started to see those benefits. But then I'm not going to lie, a couple of months in, I would say to my mum, "Mum, I still can't see any changes. What's the point of me doing this?" And she would say, "Are you blind? Like, I can see it. Your clothes aren't even fitting you anymore." But I think when you've been in a mindset for so long, especially when you're bullied into it as well, of "I look this way," you struggle to see it in the mirror yourself. And I've actually struggled with body dysmorphia before. Um, and so it took a long time mentally for me to get to the point where I was noticing the results, even if the scale or the size of my clothes was showing the results anyway.
So given that you've gone through the given that you've gone through the bullying as well, I mean, if there was somebody, let's talk to say, if there was somebody else in this room right now, and they were going through high school right now, and they were in the same position as you back when you were in high school, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them, firstly, the people who are bullying them are absolutely miserable with their lives, or they don't have anything else going for them, because to tear someone down is just disgusting. It's so unnecessary. And the second thing I would tell them is, don't be scared to stand up for yourself, even if it feels like what they're saying is right, because that's how I felt, that what they're saying was technically right. I was fat, if you want to put it that way. But even then, I feel like you need to stand up for yourself, because if you don't, it's not that you're letting other people down, it's that you're letting your inner self down. So tell them that they're wrong, tell them that it's not okay to talk to you that way. And above all, even if you don't do those things, because it's okay if not everyone feels ready to confront someone, because it's a hard thing to do, just remember yourself that you are not what these people call you. You're not reduced to anything just because someone tries to make you feel like you are, and you're a lot more than just what one person thinks of you as well.
Pretty sound advice.
Thanks.
I've gone through bullying as well throughout my high school, and I can definitely agree. I can definitely agree with the points that you've made. Talk to me about your parents, and their if you've had the support in terms of, because it's not typically the young Asian thing to do to go into fitness and try to make something out of it. It's more we'll get in. Let's be the auntie right now. Why aren't you married yet? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. Um, my parents, so I used to blame them a lot actually, because they fed me really badly from a young age. They did, and I'm not saying it's all their fault. They weren't nutritionally aware. They were raised in that same way, so they didn't know any better. Um, and so for a while, up until like 16 years old, I used to blame them and be like, "I'm fat because of you." And then a couple of years ago, I actually had a surgery. I had my gallbladder removed, And part of that was because I got into such a size, I guess, where it impacted my gallbladder, and if I wasn't overweight, perhaps that wouldn't have happened. And so I tried to explain to my parents, if you had taken better care of me, maybe I wouldn't have gotten to the stage where I needed surgery. But I think also there was personal responsibility there that I wasn't taking at the time. But then my dad, for example, he's always supported me with sports. He's always said, you know, you should go for it, being a sporty person himself. And so when I recently, well, a couple of years ago, turned my life around and really got into fitness, they've supported me so much ever since. My mum is like my number one supporter on all my Instagram posts. You'll see her commenting on all of my stories. She'll do the reacts. So it's really sweet. But I have found actually that with some of my other family, like aunties, they actually pick on me now and they say, "You're too skinny. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you?" And it's like, okay, hang on. So when I was big, I was too fat. But now that I've lost so much weight, I'm too skinny.
Yeah, you can't beat the aunties no matter what you do, you know.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could, yeah, I say that with my grandma. I don't think I could ever make her that happy or proud of me, you know. No matter what I do, she's got to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's that mindset. Okay, so do you think that then schools? Let's talk about back to school. Do you think that the schools are teaching nutrition?
No.
No.
No. I don't think they are.
I mean, that was never a subject in my. I've never been taught anything about nutrition. You do PE. I think that should be part of PE, to be honest. I mean, physical exercise, whatever PE stands. What does PE stand for? Is that physical exercise?
Well,
I don't know.
PE. Yeah, physical exercise.
I feel smart right now. All this sounds quite stupid if it wasn't. But yeah, I think a lot of it is just playing around, playing football.
Yeah.
Again, you know, we saw that, you know, the girls never used to do as much as the boys were. I think there was a lot more point towards the boys to do PE than it was with the girls. I think that's been there for quite a while now. I mean, I remember throughout my whole primary and high school, you really never saw the girls do anything. They'd be stood on the side of the field sometimes, arms crossed, doing nothing, with the boys there kicking the crap out of each other, playing football, you know. But I think an aspect of it should be that nutrition should be taught. I think had I been taught about nutrition when I was younger, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah.
As well, and I think I've got no excuse now. But yeah, you know, I mean, I'm a fairly rounded guy. I'll say rounded guy, well-rounded individual is what I call myself. But yeah, okay. So it's good that you've got support from your parents. I think that's great. Because what you tend to see now, I'd say in Asian households, that if you don't conform to what they want, you don't get that support. Mm-hmm. If you're not the doctor, if you're not the, you know, if especially if you're not getting married anytime soon, that's it, right? You become, you know, you get picked on. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Your aunt comes. Why aren't you married?
I guess because I haven't met the right person.
There we go. That's the answer. That's the answer we want to hear.
Yeah.
Aunties, uncles, if you're watching, right? It's not that easy, right? You know, my grandma literally said to me, "You got all these apps, you can't find anyone." And I was like, I took that quite personally. I was like, it's not me. Well, it is me, but you know what I mean? You got to find that right person.
Yeah. That's literally, if any aunties are listening, it really is just that.
I mean, I hope they're listening. I mean,
I hope so too.
Do they listen to podcasts? I don't even know. I mean, I was watching my mum's sister. She's on the phone 24/7. I was quite surprised to see that. She goes, "Yeah, I follow you on Instagram." I was like, I don't know you follow me on Instagram. What account do you have? I'm there looking down my followers. It's like, I don't know where you are. My followers are, what A-list have you used?
I know, my mum was saying to me this morning that she listens to podcasts and she thinks they're cool. And I was like, since when? You never mentioned this to me.
Yeah. I think I got a shock when I got a friend request off my mum on Instagram. I was like, I don't know. I think I let that sit in my friend's request for a while, actually. It wasn't instant. It was like, do I not? And then the Bearded Traveller became like a public page. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, let me just delete a few photos and a few posts and then I'll add you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about obviously your journey and your motivation. We've talked a bit about mental health. Let's talk about mental health at COVID now, because this is like a segment I talk about. COVID has brought obviously it's become a quite mentally challenging aspect to our lives. It's something that we've never experienced before, especially as very sociable. We're at that age where we want to be extremely sociable. We're in our mid-20s. Mm-hmm. Quite regarded as, you know, the most important years of being sociable in your life. and unfortunately, it's had more of a detrimental effect on people between the ages of 20 and 30 because we can't be there and be social. Now
Yeah.
we've seen obviously an increase in home. I've seen it all over my Instagram. Fitness, fitness, fitness. Keep fit, keep fit. It'll help you with your mental health. So talk to me about what are your experiences with the fitness and mental health and with COVID as well.
I feel like during the first lockdown, I was actually okay during COVID. I think I had my full-time job, which was quite busy at the time then, because we just shifted to working from home. And so that helped a lot, being busy all the time. And my workouts actually increased. So before COVID, I was working out 4 times a week, 5 times if I really had the energy. Now it's 6 times a week, and it's a lot more intense than it was before because I have the time to do it around my job. For me personally, I think that's what has saved my mental health during COVID now looking forward, from the first lockdown, because I feel like if I wake up and I'm not in a great mood, be it that something's happened or it's just that I haven't seen my friends for such a long time, I haven't seen certain family members for ages, I need something to make me feel good. That's what it feels like anyway. And so I love to read, I love to dance, so I'll do those things and I'll enjoy them. But it isn't until I've actually done a workout that my mind feels clear and I genuinely feel happy. And then even if I'm still struggling, that gives me such a rush. I know it releases loads of endorphins, which make you happy anyway, but it gives me such a rush that it helps me to kind of clear through my mind, figure out what exactly is making me feel anxious or low on that day. And so it's not just about the fitness itself and how good I look or how good I feel about working out and building my fitness. It's more that it clears my mind for me. And during a time of such uncertainty and a time where you can feel really lonely, that's definitely helped me feel like I have something there.
Okay, so definitely, I think the conclusion is that fitness is really good for your mental health. And I do agree with that. That's why I tried to up it from zero to something during COVID. And I do agree that depending on the exercises, different exercises will bring out different enjoyments of it. Some people might prefer rowing. Us guys will probably prefer the boxing bag. I mean, like I say, our mental health is, and I do say it, and I said on previous segments, as for men, essentially, we're very aggressive in nature. We're very hot headed. Well, we don't have outlets. I mean, I know for people that drinking is an outlet. Some people, shisha is an outlet. We have different outlets, but when you're not getting those outlets, especially when you're out with the boys and stuff like that, but you don't get that, I think it now becomes a problem at home. I think we've seen domestic violence increase over lockdown, and I'm not saying this. Okay, I know people are gonna say, and we had it on the previous segment. It's not just the man's fault. However, it's you take responsibility on how you behave, right? And unfortunately, men only know how to act out on violence quite quickly. Men, and I say this, you tend to know when you're first men, right? So men know when women are upset, kind of thing. You kind of show it a lot more. Where men don't show it straight away. So you get to that point where we explode, and when we explode, it gets quite bad. I talk from my experience. I've never hit anyone in that sense of being angry, but well, in a fight it's quite different. But you know what I mean. You explode. It's like shouting and screaming, and I think obviously exercise is a big thing for men in mental health as well, not just for women but men as well. And I think especially for men as well, especially because obviously, like I say in every segment, that men's mental health is not spoken about as much. It's quite hidden. The whole be a man.
Yep.
Be a man. It's always a thing, and I think if you can, if you've got that aggression, pop a boxing bag. Honestly, I've got to the point where sometimes I've got that angry, I've had to use a boxing bag and take it out on the boxing bag. Trust me, that boxing bag, you'll get tired after a minute and you go, nah, it's not worth it anymore. But yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, do you know what? I actually agree with you on the aggression side of what you've just said, because I've known guys who during lockdown they've just been like, I just want to punch something, and so having that boxing bag really helps. Even with the workouts I do, so some of the home workouts I've been doing are with this account called Lucy May Lifestyle, and some of their workouts are boxing workouts. And sometimes when I have so much aggression it's just like all in me festering, I just need to let it out, and the boxing workouts really get me there.
Yeah. So don't punch a person, punch a bag instead, or punch a mitt, for example. That's advice we can give. Talk to me, if you're comfortable again, about religion. I mean, how has religion helped define you and who you are? Because this podcast isn't looking at, obviously, it's looking at you as an individual, because I hope that even if one listener gets to connect with you, your story, for example, being bullied and stuff like that, and little points and picks up on words like that, and even if just one person gets inspired by you, able to change their life around for the better, then this is this is the whole point of the podcast. So I mean, we're there to inspire those people who don't necessarily have the direction or just the information, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know anything. They're in their own world of gaming, or not. They just don't have that support at home. Especially, I mean, I say more so that us and our siblings, because our parents were very traditional from back home. Most of the people from back home who who didn't know anything about anything. And I think it comes to the point where we've had to learn as we've gone on, and there's a stark difference between us and our parents, our generation, our parents' generation. We're hoping that obviously the younger generation has a closer link towards our generation of understanding things.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no,
you go ahead.
I thought you were still going.
No, I think I lost my train of thought there, but then you were going to answer anyway.
No, I was just going to say I actually agree with what you're saying. I think generational differences are definitely a big thing. I've noticed that with my parents and with me as well. And just not always knowing everything. I think I've lost my train of thought as well, actually.
We were talking about religion.
Yeah, we were
talking about
and
religion.
then we started going somewhere else. But yeah, so with my parents, they're actually two different religions. So my dad's Sikh and my mum's Muslim. And my dad had converted at the time to marry my mum, but now they're not together. So he's gone back to Sikhism, and I found that growing up that was quite tough, because I'd also have his side of the family trying to kind of pull me that way, and then my mum's side. But I was raised as a Muslim. I am a Muslim. I've always seen myself as Muslim, and I feel like religion has helped me at all times of my life. But the way when you're going through something so bad, sometimes you're like, God, please help me, or why me? I feel like it really has helped me a lot of the time. Sometimes when, especially during COVID, when I've wanted help or guidance on what I should do or why I'm feeling a certain way, or to give me the will and the motivation to carry on, for example, with fitness or with even my job, things like that, when you're just feeling low. It's something that I feel so good doing, praying. Even if it's not necessarily doing namaz or things like that, but it's just making dua, that's something that helps me personally, and I feel like a weight's been lifted off my chest, like a burden's gone. So for me personally, religion has really helped.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's the answers I'd like to hear, that religion has helped. I know we're going to have some listeners who don't affiliate with any religion, or might be atheists or just don't believe in religion at all. Well, that's atheism, but and it's good to see how people are individually. So like I said, the point of this podcast is to see how people are, what makes people who they are, and why they're successful. And everyone's different. So obviously, you've gone through your bullying, you've shown your resistance, your resilience, you've shown that obviously you've got your drive, and you talk about obviously being consistent. What else do you think makes somebody successful?
So I'd say openness is a big thing as well, actually, because when you're trying to be successful, whether it's in business or fitness or academia, you're going to have things thrown at you all the time. And I feel like if you're not open and ready to adapt to a change in circumstance, then that can make success a lot harder for you. And if you are open, then sometimes you're willing to look at things a different way, whether that's approach or outcome, whatever it may be. I'd also say, depending on the type of success, communication, organisation, those things are really important. Sometimes just talking to someone, talking an idea out, do you think this sounds right, or I'm thinking of doing this? And then organisation, I find, is so important. Like, for example, with me and my fitness, I have sort of a schedule and a routine in my mind. I prefer working out in the morning, but then openness comes into it. If I have morning meetings, sometimes I'll have to change around my whole fitness routine for that day and readapt. And it's not always ideal, but it's something you have to be able to do. And general routine as well. It's just helped me keep myself together mentally during COVID, particularly, actually. So I'd say those are the other elements of success that really work, especially for me personally.
Okay, so we've kind of touched on the topics quite quickly, actually. Right, so obviously you said you've got the support of your parents when you come up, obviously with the whole your fitness journey, where do you see yourself now with your new plug in your Instagram page? You might as well plug in your Instagram page while you got it.
So it's healthy with henna. Where do I see it going?
Yeah. So talk about the page.
Okay.
And then where you see it going.
So on the page, I basically every day on my stories, I try to engage as much as possible. I post what my daily workout schedule may have been for that day, and then I also post what I may have eaten for lunch, breakfast, dinner, things like that. And then I'll also sometimes put up polls to say, would you prefer this, would you like to see more of that? And then I do Q&As as well, so ask me anything and I usually respond. Sometimes I type, sometimes I'll do a video response. And then on the main feed, I've basically posted transformation pictures and not just done it for the physical side of things. In the caption, I've actually said where I've been at mentally. So for example, one of the most recent posts I did, it was a picture of me in 2018 and then a picture of me in November last year for my birthday. And I made it quite clear actually in the caption that it wasn't just about how I thought I looked better aesthetically, it was that the mental shift was so different. When I used to get pictures taken of myself before, I used to be like, oh God, am I going to look really unattractive? Are people going to pick on me? What's going to happen? Now, when I take a picture, I don't even think about that anymore. I just think, I feel really good in my clothes. I really like this outfit. I'm feeling really happy right now and I just want a picture to capture it. And that's now my focus, whereas before it wasn't. It was people's opinions. So that in itself, even saying that right now, that's such a pinnacle of growth for me. So there's posts like that. There's posts about debunking myths. So like the idea that, oh, you shouldn't be eating carbs if you want to lose weight and things like that. It completely, strips that down and gives some information on that. And then also other posts about maybe meals I've made that week. And I'm going to continue posting now onwards, routines that I've done to actual workout videos. Other foods that I've cooked. I might do some IGTV videos because I've had a lot of requests to talk about a day in the life of henna, working out or eating, whatever it may be. And I'm hoping to build my page like that. And then when I actually become a qualified PT, hopefully have more clients on there to show their results as well.
Sounds interesting. Sounds amazing. So asking for the listeners and viewers to follow Healthy with Henna.
Thank you.
So while we're on the subject of Instagram, I almost forgot to ask this question. I think it's more, we were speaking about Instagram with mental health in our previous podcast. I think this is more suited towards this podcast as well. How it's had an effect on mental health, people's perceptions on the perfect body. You see, it's like Kim Kardashian seems to be the perfect, or Kylie Jenner tends to be the people that people look up to. I never thought it was a thing. I thought it was over exaggerated until I started scrolling through a lot of social media, and this is what people's perception of the perfect body is. And then and then unfortunately you've got people obviously on Instagram who obviously distort. I do a lot of editing. I can tell from the minute that picture's posted up, it's been edited. And now you're getting to see people actually post, the befores and afters of the edits, and people are now becoming more comfortable in their own body and showing this. So, what do you think the effect? Talk to me about your understanding of social media, and what you think it's had an effect on people.
I think social media is both a blessing and a curse. I think it can be so good, it can spread so much positivity, and like you said, people are now out there showing what you can really look like when you're just relaxed as opposed to posed, before and after editing, things like that. But then I think you also get the really toxic side, which is that you get some people who post on Instagram daily, not even on their main feed, but on their stories, and they just look so, well, the idea of perfect. And you think, how do you look like that? How are you obtaining that? Why don't I look like that? And that's where comparison comes in. And I feel like comparison is honestly the devil. It's the worst thing. But that's where I feel like Instagram can get really hard for people, particularly if you have certain insecurities, if you're young. That's when you can get really caught up on it. And I think that that's quite worrying if you don't have support there. Sometimes parents aren't even aware of what their children may be looking at on social media. So I think if it's not being used responsibly, that's where danger comes in. And for me personally, I used to look at people like Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, all these people who had the best bodies in the world's opinion, I guess, consensus wise. And I used to think, okay, so that's what I need to get to. That's what I need to look like. And I just realised how unrealistic it was. As I was actually learning more about fitness and enjoying my personal journey, it stood out to me how not everyone, you could train every day of the week. It doesn't mean you're going to look like that. Sometimes people have surgeries that they don't make known simply because it's not anyone's business. And sometimes people have filters put on their stuff, edited, like you said, and people won't always see that. They won't always know it. And so it's so unrealistic to compare yourself to what you see on social media. And I think I've realised that over time. At the same time, I think sometimes it's healthy as well to see people doing certain things on social media because it does challenge you a little bit. It makes you think, if they can do that, I wonder if I could do that or something similar. And that's the positive side that I feel has resonated with me, particularly over the past year or so. I've been like, okay, I've seen someone do, for example, Tough Mudder, or I've seen someone do Kilimanjaro, which is what I plan to do next year. Um, so yeah, if they can do that, that's pushed me. I'm going to work towards that, but in a healthy way, not from 0 to 100, because I feel like people think that they need to get there straight away and they don't. And one other thing I have to say is that everyone, and I genuinely mean this, everyone is so beautiful. Like, you don't need to look a certain way to be beautiful, to be accepted. You can look any which way that you want to look, and that is enough.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's a fantastic summary of what social media is, and I think that's great advice as well. And I think obviously for the viewers and listeners as well. I mean, I totally agree. You're not. There is no such thing as a perfect body. Everyone should just be comfortable the way they are. It's always obviously look to better yourself as well. If you want to better yourself, that's up to you. But have that realistic expectations as well. Don't try to focus on being somebody like that because your body may not conform to what that is. And but as long as you're happy mentally, physically, then I think that's the most important. And I just say be aware of social media because, and I know you can get warped into it, and you without realizing.
Yeah.
Instagram, such subconsciously, it can definitely affect you. Like I talk about how good it is as well. It also has its bad problems as well. So I think we've covered all the topics for today.
I do actually, there is one thing, right?
Go on.
So on social media, I have actually had a lot of people recently ask me what I think about the idea that a lot of companies, for example, I don't know if you've heard of Cosmopolitan magazine or places like that.
Yeah.
What I think of the fact that they've started to post people who may be considered either really underweight or people who can be considered to be overweight as healthy now, and creating this whole body positivity trend around them. I feel like that's become such a current thing at the moment, and such a current debate. And I just feel like a lot of people getting really caught up on body positivity, and it is a really important thing. But I feel like it's important to realize that we do need to respect other body types, what other people look like, no matter what magazines say. But the one thing that I would agree with, I don't know if you agree with this, but that when these magazines, for example, do show people who are underweight or people who are overweight and they brand them as positive, that's amazing. They should be positive and they should love themselves because everyone is beautiful. But when they then brand them as healthy, that's where I start to disagree, simply because of the science of it and the medicine of it, and that if you are overweight, not about how you look, but just medically, if you are overweight or underweight, that's not healthy. And that's something that does need to be recognized. There is a difference between positivity and then creating myths about what's healthy and what's unhealthy. So when you do see things like that, if you do feel triggered, just please look it up for yourself. Don't just listen to what other people are saying, and don't feel like you need to look a certain way or that you fit into certain categories. Just have a look for yourself, because I think it's so important to just know what is healthy, what isn't healthy as well. I don't know if you'd agree.
No, I totally agree. I used to get a lot of stick actually because when I was in Pakistan, I used to get the doctors used to say, mashallah, he's healthy, he's healthy. And you're like coming out of there like, yeah, man, I'm healthy. You know what I mean? Deep down, I knew I was a little fat git. You know what I mean? I can say that about myself. I wouldn't say that about anyone else, but I knew I was a little chubby little thing. So I mean, and I know that unfortunately, when we live in a world where we have to be politically correct.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can't appease everyone. And it does come with its dangers as well. And this is one of the dangers as well. I agree, I think the whole idea is not to shame anyone for what they look like. However, be aware of your health. I think being healthy is a physical mindset as well as a mental mindset as well. Both go hand in hand. But I think obviously you have to understand that when everything is a limitation. Once you've gone past that limitation, your body's not going to be used to it. and later on the effects are like, if you're obese, if you're extremely overweight, it's going to have effect on you. And unfortunately, you speak to your elders, and when they were fat, when they were young, they would tell you, now my knees are hurting, my knees are, I can't walk anymore, I can't do this, or the diabetes will come at this age. It's all because obviously you've gone to that extreme. So totally agree with you. Obviously, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? I mean, you still have to be politically correct in that sense. Obviously, and I don't say politically correct as a sarcastic thing. It has to be a thing where you've got to be right in the way you say things, but bear in mind that obviously being healthy there is a science behind it. There's medicine behind it as well. So I mean, I wouldn't call myself healthy, for example. I mean, if I called myself healthy, I'd be laughing. I mean, I'm just laughing at the thought of calling myself healthy at the moment. But you know what I mean. But just bear in mind, and I agree with Henna over here, right here. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, just a bit of advice, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead with your advice. Yeah.
I just want to say to anyone who does want to do anything with their lives, I'll speak for fitness personally because that's what I'm here for today. Please don't feel like you can't do it. There were so many times, I feel like for the people who may be naturally a certain way, for example, slimmer, more athletic, not that it's easier for them, but it makes you feel when you look at those people that, they've had it in the bag and things like that. This is now coming from someone who is not genetically made to be athletic, who went through hardship, bullying, was overweight. I've come from that place to where I am now, where in some ways I guess I could be considered an athlete. I have been before, so I would just say you can do it. There is no such thing as you can't. If something isn't working for you, please don't think it's you. It's not. Either educate yourself or go to someone who would be happy to educate you. I would be, or there are people far more educated than me, and you can get on with fitness, on with nutrition, whatever it may be. And then just generally, please don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Like my Healthy with Henna account, that's just started. I don't have that many followers, but I love the account. I love fitness, and that's my passion, so that's what I'm following. And as long as you have that to hold on to, that's all you really need. So please don't ever feel like you can't do something, because you most definitely can.
Thank you for that advice. I mean, I want to listen to that advice as well. And so, whoops, I just hit the microphone there. But yeah, and I think obviously it's inspiring to listen to you. It is. I'm inspired, and I hope that the listeners and viewers are inspired as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story.
No, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
And make sure that you follow Healthy with Henna, and I'll post it on our social media. You can follow Mo Inspiration on Instagram by moinspiration.official. That's where you get the latest updates and where you can find our new latest releases. We are on several podcast hosting sites. We're on Anchor, we're on Acast, we're on Apple iTunes, we're on Spotify, which is our main one, as well as Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and a few others that I've forgotten the names of because we've got that many. So if you could give us a follow and like on our Instagram page, share our Instagram page, and then subscribe to our YouTube as well. Thank you very much for listening in, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.